and driving, which comes back with our nationwide warranty and easy financing options. Located in beautiful Callaway on Tyndall Parkway, we do it all at Allford Tire and Service Center.
Signworks, a business serving businesses since 1985. Everything from signs and banners, vehicles and boats, magnetic and real estate signs, contractor signs, and much more. Signworks can do large format, full color printing too. Signworks, a real professional in the business world. Call Signworks at 785-8899. Signworks, 850-785-8899.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota, ESPN Northwest Florida. Broadcasting from the CBC Construction Studios. Get ready.
Deep center field and heading for the horizon.
Sports Talk Radio will never be the same.
Onions, pickles.
The Afternoon Underdogs
Way back and gone.
on ESPN.
Northwest Florida.
What is going on, Panama City? You're now riding with the Afternoon Underdogs, tuned into ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. We're live from the CBC Construction Studios. You can go to cbcconstruction.com to fill out an application, as they're looking for a few good employees. That could be men or women, as Caveman Rick has so eloquently pointed out. You can also call them at 850-747-3815. Our call-in question of the day. We only got a few responses yesterday. What's the most heartbreaking loss that you've ever witnessed as a fan? You could text or call the Jed Lawyers phone line at 850-215-6290. Okay, man, we didn't have the opportunity of having you in yesterday. So what is your most heartbreaking loss that you've witnessed as a fan? I don't think I answered yesterday. For me, it's very easy. It's 2000. It's the Tennessee Titans versus the St. Louis Rams in the Super Bowl. It's Kevin Dyson being tackled by Mike Jones 1 yard short of the end zone, and I think that was most heartbreaking.
That's kind of hard for me, man. That's a question I haven't had any time to think about or ponder over. So if my initial, gut, was going to, say something like maybe like the 93 Phillies losing to the Blue Jays, maybe the like 04, 05 Eagles losing to, the Patriots in the Super Bowl, a couple of those possibly. So I don't know, man. Like, that's, like I said, like if I go hockey, I didn't get to see a lot of the big stuff, like a Stanley Cup final type stuff. So maybe it was like losing to Tampa Bay back in like 04 in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Dude,
like
we didn't know each other then, but I remember listening on the radio to that series, riding in the van with my dad, and just what that 2004 season meant to me in love for hockey. So that was the opposite of heartbreaking for me.
That's probably that's right up there for me. Like probably one of those is what I have to say. I don't think I could pick one right now out of those three. Yeah,
there you go. But you gave a multiple choice, and C is always the answer when it comes to multiple choices when we Christmas tree those tests. We've got Coach Dave Ford in the actual studio with us today. We're not talking to him on the phone line. Bone Crusher, thank you so much right there for the great sounders to go along with it. Again, Bone Crusher in the building with us as normal on Fridays. Love having him in here, and we love having Coach Dave Ford in the building with us. We're going to be talking a lot of the first hour this afternoon is going to be much like the last or the first 20 minutes of hour number 2 yesterday, where we were talking wrestling and mental health, not WWE wrestling, where we will be talking a lot about that in hour number 2 today, but mental health. And it was such a beautiful story from Coach Jeff Estrada yesterday. And if you've heard Coach Dave Ford here on the Afternoon Underdogs, we talk a lot of mental health. So that is going to be the game plan this afternoon. Before we dive into all of that good or bad stuff, Coach Ford, for you, most heartbreaking loss that you've ever witnessed as a fan?
That's easy. Bert Emanuel, 1999, when the whole rule change with what is actually a football catch, what is a football play to the ground, is because they robbed us against the Rams. We lost that game 13-6. And we actually should have been the one playing the Titans in that Super Bowl.
Wow.
Not the Rams. So, Bert Emanuel. That's
Bert
the one.
Emanuel. So ours kind
I have
of
a story behind that, too, if you want it real quick.
Yeah, of course.
Still
That's
a journalist.
what we're here for.
Still a journalist at University of South Florida. And have some temper problems when it comes to sports sometimes, as you can imagine, being a former athlete and a coach. And we had those old WWE aluminum/steel trash cans.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
you
I know
where
what
I'm
you're
going.
talking about. Yes,
So
sir.
being a hardcore Bucks fan, everybody knows it in there, and we're all waiting for instant replay. And I'm like, there's no way they're overturning. It's like, it's a catch. Like, he keeps his fingers under the ball, just the nose of the ball touches the ground. You guys remember this play?
I don't. I believe that.
No, but
If you were to pull it up later, you're going to go, how did I forget about that? Because it was literally a seminal moment when it comes to rule changes in the NFL. It was a catch. It was a catch then. It's a catch now. And so when we didn't get it, I kicked the trash can all the way across the newsroom, hit a few computers. Luckily, nothing broke. Everybody kind of scattered out of the room. I'm like, all right, I need a minute. I'm sorry. But, yeah, I mean, that's the cool thing about sports, though, isn't it, is the fanaticism of it all. When you really get so invested and you don't know how deep you are into it until you really feel like you've been wronged, like it was a crime. But, yeah, that's my story behind
So the
that.
score was 6-5 at that point in time?
Right, and we were driving.
6-5?
Yes.
So there was a safety
That's
involved
how good
in that
our
game.
defense was
Yeah,
against
yeah,
that
no, I
Ram.
remember. Yeah,
Yeah.
Derek
Yeah.
Brooks, John
We
Lynch.
absolutely shut them down, but they took that call away from us,
Sapp.
and it killed the heart of the team. Just killed them.
Oh, man, that is tough. We're looking for your most heartbreaking loss that you've ever witnessed as a fan, and you can text or call that in. I would love calls from you this afternoon, as would Coach Dave Ford. You got to call the Jed Lawyers phone line at 850-215-6290. I'll also read your comment if you comment on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to read it if it's on Twitch because I'm not going to be over there to see if it comes through. But I would appreciate you liking and sharing the Facebook feed and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can download the app and register. Just go to your Google Play Store or your Apple Store, 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Now, we didn't talk about this very much at all on the Afternoon Underdogs yesterday, but there was a shooting over there at Florida State. From what I've heard, all victims from that shooting are expected to make a full recovery, but I believe there was also 2 that passed away as well, 6 injured. So the 6 injured are expected to make a full recovery. That hits close to home. I've seen jokes about it on social media, and I'm like, there was also a video taken by someone where there was, body shown in the video, and I get how some people I can't believe you would do something like that, but we are in the area these days now, or the era, I guess, where, it's like, whatever, people are going to video anything that they think will get them some sort of, maybe it doesn't even have to do with them getting clout. It's just, this is what I'm experiencing and you can see it from my point of view. Coach Ford, any words from the FSU shooting from yesterday afternoon?
What you were just saying is the desensitization of society.
Yeah.
If there is that kind of video or videos out there, what are we doing? Where did we fail? And I'm talking about us adults.
At the home?
Yeah, well, I have the pillars are inside the home, and I think a lot of us are beyond the excuses of, well, it's a split up home. Well, I came from a split up home.
Me too.
Odds are most people did.
Yeah, a lot of people I did.
My parents divorced when I was 7 years old, and I'm sitting here before you today. I've never taken a drug. I've never smoked a cigarette. I didn't start drinking until I was 22, and I'm not going to excuse any kind of bad behavior because of that. The second one is we need to do a better job in classrooms. That one's huge. That is an extension of parenting. I hope everybody would trust and believe that. And the third one is extracurricular activity times. Is if you're a coach, if you're a band director, if you're a club leader, whatever it is, that's another opportunity to mentor. It's another opportunity to stop class and go, does anybody hear what happened today? Do you have any questions? I did it yesterday. You guys, I don't know if you know this, but I'm at Bay High right now. I'm the in-school suspension coach and teacher.
Oh, ISS, let's go.
I was going to ask what you were doing there when I found out you got the position.
And I'm going to tell you guys something. I get goosebumps talking about it. I've made more of a difference there in only 4 weeks than I've done in anything else recently, like in the last 5 to 6 years, okay? And the thing is, I correct a lot of people like, oh, you're getting a lot of the bad kids. I said, you know what? Actually, they're not bad. And I hate when people say that.
They just need direction.
Exactly. I'm like, these are all good kids.
Yeah.
These are all a lot. I mean, these are people's kids that are sending them to our place, right? And a lot of them are coming from, I'm going to say, distracted and not reliable situations.
I think that's wow. Okay, you've been working on your PC, your political correctness. You absolutely have to. Oh, goodness.
That's why I say I always stay ready, so I don't have to stay ready. Especially being on live radio, we can't make mistakes.
Right.
And but those are the 3 pillars for me that I actually wrote down. Home, education, and then extension of education with extracurricular activities.
Right.
Anyone who's in charge, anyone who has that responsibility, not only are you responsible, maybe you don't know it, but you better find out.
Yeah.
Because going back to what you just said leading into it, the desensitization of what's going on in society, where social media, where everybody's picking up a phone and thinking that they're an authority. Hey, I'm going to put this out there.
Yeah.
And then you say that people are joking. Well, I'm sorry, I missed the joke.
Yeah,
where 2 people lost their lives yesterday, and that's just 2 hours away from here.
Right, and I think some people were looking at it from the sports lens, but it's like there's a time to take those glasses off and just you don't even got to mourn if you don't want to mourn, but you also don't. If you ain't got nothing nice to say, keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, just keep it moving.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my fiance last night. I'm like, what's really troubling to me is I remember a time when I was on South Forest campus where I felt safe.
Yeah.
There are no more lines anymore, guys. The boundaries have been crossed. If I were to say Walmart, movie theater, hospital, church, high school, middle school, elementary school, college, those are all places that used to be untouchable with gun violence.
Yeah, you should walk in there feeling safe. Now, those might be the more like
those
a place where you're
exactly.
It's a heightened sense of insecurity when you're in those buildings.
Yeah, and until I said it out loud last night, I hadn't even really realized that they've all been targeted multiple times, and they will be again.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Nothing's stopping until
no.
But is there anything in your mind, or is there anything that you've talked about with other people that could slow this down?
Better decision making is what I talked about to my class yesterday, to that particular group of kids. I had about 16 or 17 yesterday. It's pretty full.
Yeah.
It was a busy day. But that's
16 or 17 in ISS.
Yeah.
Let's go. Woohoo!
That's kind of what I'm finding that I actually enjoy about it because of the high turnover. That's more opportunity. I use the word opportunity to where I can impact some lives.
Right.
And what makes me feel good as an educator, when I'm in the parking lot and I have somebody I don't even know screeching on her brakes saying, hey, I just want to let you know you're doing a great job. We're so great you're here. We're so happy that you're here. And I say that humbly because it didn't even register to me that I'm like, wow, I'm getting positive feedback for something that wasn't even in my life 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm in my journey right now. But I say all that to say that I'm just one person. And there are a lot of us out there. And whether we just need to be rejuvenated in our leadership or whether we need to become a leader or not, we need to be having these conversations, not just on the radio. We need to be having them in churches, in places of impact, in men's groups, women's groups. What's happening with our kids? Like what's happening with our young adults? We're the ones that can try and fix it.
We can start them at the macro level, but they need to trickle down. We talk about trickle down all the way from, presidents doing this or whatever, and we want all of that to trickle down as fastly as it possibly can. But the reality is with these conversations that we're having, they need to trickle down from the schools and whatever to all the way inside the family homes, all the way inside of if you're a student at a school who has sense about you, you need to be conversating with your fellow students on what direction to go. Okay, man, did you have anything to add?
I was going to say, which was
Joey?
good, is that, you're talking about having dialogue in the classroom, right? And talking to these kids about this kind of stuff. And I remember, like, when I was a kid, what was a big deal was, when a tragedy would happen, like when they had the Challenger explosion.
Oh, yeah.
What they did, drug those like AV carts into the classrooms. We were sitting there watching the news, we're talking about it.
You and I are old enough to remember that, right?
And stuff like that. And then even like when the Berlin Wall came down, same kind of thing. They like rolled those carts into our classrooms. We're talking about the significance of of this happening, and then shortly thereafter, like communism falls and whatnot.
Right.
So makes you more aware because you're talking about it, not just like sitting at your house, like with your parents or something like that. People that you probably tune out, but like, teachers, other students, people in the classroom, you have like more of a, like on your level kind of a discussion. And yeah, like I said, brings awareness, which is kind of good. And maybe that's what people need to do, talk about these kinds of things. So like you bring out that awareness and then you're more conscious of what's going on. And maybe hopefully make a mark on people, and a lot of this stuff doesn't happen, like spring break around here.
Well, think about that. It's a great example. What was and still is a tragedy back in '86, right? That was global, right? And we experienced that in school. We were in elementary.
Yep.
Being in Florida, I remember looking up and I see the smoke for hours after because we got released early because of it, right? Well, this group of kids now, and actually the one before it, they don't know what life is like without school shootings, guys.
Yeah.
They have no idea what that's like. When I was in high school, there was one gun brought to school in 4 years, and it was in a locker and was unloaded, and that was it, and that was all.
Where'd you go?
This was Land O'Lakes High School.
Land O'Lakes, that's right. No, I know that.
And that was a crazy thing that happened back then. Right?
I just heard a story of one of my friends who I'm not going to get into the details or whatever, but back in his high school days, there was an incident that happened where there was a gun brought to school, and it was a toy gun. It was a toy gun that was removed. The orange cap was removed.
A cap gun.
And yeah, exactly. It was a cap gun. But at the end of the day, and that's the thing is we take guns so seriously, and they should be taking, but it's never the gun that's the one doing the violence. There's a mind behind it every single time, and then we get into these debates, and it's like, well, should guns be legal or no? Or maybe we should take mental health seriously. Maybe we should not charge $30,000 for an 8-week process for you to get a little bit of help. Maybe we should care about our constituents of this country, and maybe we'd make a difference. We need to go to the Jed Lawyers phone line. We have Cousin Joey riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. Cousin Joey, what's going on, my friend?
How about it, David?
I'm doing well, my friend. How are you doing?
I'm good. I hate to change the subject. That was some good talking you guys.
Hey, we're going to get back to it. I know you want to get to a heartbreaking loss, and I hope that Alabama was the one that broke your heart.
No. I'm going to tell you now, I had a late heartbreak, like Monday, I think it was, when my cousin David is telling about all the people he saw Sunday, named about 7 different people, and I kept waiting for him to say Cousin Joey. I kept waiting for my name to come up. And I just couldn't believe it.
No, I'm gonna. If you're gonna make me go back and listen to that show, and I will, but I really do felt like if I didn't actually do it mentally, trust and believe, you were there in the shout-outs. And I'll give you another one. Cousin Joey, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, we'll shout out Panama Alternator. Make sure you go see Joey if your battery starts dying or whatever it may be. But Cousin Joey. But I really did think that I shouted you out because I segmented so many different shout-outs that Monday afternoon.
And you could have later. I mean, I know I was the most important person in the room.
Absolutely. No question about it.
Let me go there. But let me tell you, I've got 3 games. When your one caller was talking about the Bucks, I think he's in there with you.
He's in studio, yeah.
Back in, I can't remember what year they started, but the 3rd year, John McKay had a 4-year plan. He was going to get us to the Super Bowl in 4 years. Mm-hmm. 3rd year, playing Los Angeles Rams in the national NFC championship game. I don't know what they called it, NFC then. But it was the championship game. They lost 6-3 or 9-3. So that was my first disappointment. Next year, they started, you could tell Culver House was not spending any money on players, so they just went downhill from there. McKay didn't last too much longer, but he had a lot of injuries that next year. And I got fed up with him, so then I became a Browns fan, because that's where Chrissy's from, and I'd go up there every year. So he
said, I'm going to go from bad to worse, baby.
I know. Hey, whoa now. This is the National Football League champion Browns. They've never won a Super Bowl. They won like 6 back in the Jim Brown days.
Yes, sir.
They won 6, and they'll tell you that real quick up there. They got a lot of championships. There's just no Super Bowl.
One orange to another orange, right?
Yeah.
There you go. Well, I got some more orange, too. I'll tell you about the
Yeah, that's a good orange right there.
That's right. But sure enough, the drive, John Elway drove them, 90, 95 yards. And then the next year, I don't remember which year was first. Then, I don't forgot his name. Fumbled at the 2-yard line. Either one.
Ernest Biner.
Definitely went to this. Ernest Biner. Thank you. I knew it before I started listening to you guys.
Right at the 2-yard line.
Yep, exactly. Because the other running back was Mack, wasn't it? What was his name?
Kevin Mack.
Kevin Mack. There you go. But I do want you, and I hate for all you Seminole fans out there, because now you done mentioned my business, so now they probably won't want to do business with me. But I want you to tell your partner that he's not on there very often, but he used to dog them Gators. I'm talking about dog them bad. Tell him the Gators own the Seminoles. I don't care what sport it is, even baseball. We can't beat anybody this year, but guess what? We beat the Seminoles both times we played.
There you go. Which partner would you be talking about? You talking about the big fella?
I don't know how big he is. I hope he's not too big and too young, because I'm kind of,
kind of old and the growing is going in a recession right now.
That's right. He is the one that did your football at
Mosley. Yeah. That's Kyle Wright. I'm actually playing golf with him tomorrow afternoon, so I will be sure to let him know. Florida owns the Gators right now.
That's right.
I mean, Florida owns the Seminoles right now.
The Florida owns the Seminoles and Alabama as far as that goes.
All right. Now we have ended our time of good conversation. Hey, Joey, I love you, man. And shout out to my cousin Joey. Just want everyone to know, cousin Joey, #1 overall. Hey, Joey, take care, man, and have a great rest of your afternoon.
We'll talk to you, David.
All right, there we go. We've got to get to a break. When we get back, we're going to be taking your calls all afternoon long on what's the most heartbreaking loss that you have ever witnessed as a fan. While I'm at it, cousin Chrissy, I love you too. That is the wife of Joey, cousin Joey there. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. I love it, man. That is a big driving factor. When we get back, more from Coach Dave Ford and Jack Patterson's on the line.
Atlanta Braves are back.
Here comes the throw. It's late. Braves win.
And ESPN Northwest Florida is your exclusive radio home for Braves country.
He just wrecked that thing. Straight away center, a homer for Riley.
Sales, Strider, Acuna, Ozzie, Riley, Profar, and Coach Snitker lead a stellar lineup. Listen live nights and weekends on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Friday. Sunny the remainder of the day with a moderate breeze coming out of the south-southeast around 14 miles per hour and temps near 78. Tonight we will have a mixture of slight fog and clear skies and be quite warm at 65. Mostly sunny tomorrow and a high 79. Some clouds Sunday with a temp of 78. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
CBC Construction is looking for a few good men. At CBC Construction, our greatest strength lies within our talented team. Join us and be a part of a dynamic company that values its people. We offer a tremendous opportunity to create a future for your family and the Florida Panhandle. CBC Construction is now hiring. Call us at 850-740-3815 or visit cbcconstruction.com to learn more. CBC Construction. Be part of a winning team.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
Broadcasting from the CBC Construction Studios. ESPN Northwest Florida. The tradition continues.
It is a walk-off home run for Sean Murphy into the Braves bullpen.
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes, along with the great Caveman Rick, the great Dave Ford, Coach Dave Ford, matter of fact. And we also have the greatest Bone Crusher in the building. We just got off the phone with cousin Joey, but now let's get over to the phone line with Jack Patterson, who's going to tell us what his most heartbreaking loss that he's ever witnessed as a fan, live from the Jed Lawyers phone line. Jack Patterson, what's up, bud?
What's going on? Y'all doing all right?
Oh, man, if I was any better, I wouldn't have any hairs in my biscuit.
Yeah. 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 No, I would say probably my most heartbreaking loss probably as an FSU fan. Well, one of them, should I say? We had quite a few of them last year. You know,
quite a few. That's an understatement. But yeah, continue.
Yeah, we had all but about 2 games, I think.
2-10 is correct. Yes, sir. Should be one. It should have been 1-11.
Right, it should have been. But it's just like the year we got left out of the playoffs and we lost to Georgia, that beat down by Georgia. It was just so heartbreaking that we had a good season that year, and then our quarterback got hurt, and we got left out of the playoffs, and then we got pummeled by Georgia. That's probably one of the most recent ones, should I say.
Yeah, no doubt. And there is that element for sure. Well, Jack, we're going to be having you in the studio to talk about one of your upcoming wrestling benefits going down on June 7th. So we will talk to you then, my friend. Thanks so much for the call.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Still looking for y'all's calls. What's the most heartbreaking loss that you've ever witnessed as a fan? On the Jed Lawyers phone line, 850-215-6290. All right. Which direction would you like to go next, Coach? Or would you like me to just start asking questions?
Fire away, man. It's your show.
Well, but I don't. The way that our time just kind of runs,
I know,
and I know that you bring stuff to the table, so I don't want to move away from that until we've kind of covered everything that you really want to talk about.
If you want, like I said on the break, I've got a couple numbers that tie back into where we were before.
Let's go that
put
direction.
A nice button on it and move on, because I know it's a heavy subject on a Friday afternoon, especially Good Friday.
Every question that I have for you is going to be a heavy question, so there's that.
Okay, well, that's fine. I'm ready for it. But here's the thing that I didn't realize until today. But so 2 days from today, on the 20th, is going to mark the 26th anniversary of Columbine. Okay, April 20th. 26 years, dude. It's gone by in a blink, right?
Wow. Yeah, really. I remember, I remember that day.
That was world news back then.
Mm-hmm.
So let's fast forward to yesterday. Is that world news? No.
I think they made a bigger deal of the spring break situation going on in Panama City than what they have of the shooting over there in Tallahassee.
So that's some perspective for you.
Yeah.
How, again, everybody's gotten used to the concept. Oh, it's another gun violence incident on a school campus.
Right.
Which used to be like,
almost expected to. I don't want to say expected,
but it is.
But
it is, though, yeah.
Yeah.
There's always, until next time.
Yeah.
Because yesterday happened to be one of the students on campus. He lost his sister at the Parkland shooting back in 2014.
Okay.
Small world. Small world. Okay.
I can't even imagine that. I can't. He lost his girlfriend?
No, his sister.
No, his sister at Parkland. Right. What happened to him at Florida State? Just like the fact that he is
just being that he was there.
Okay, but still.
So it's a direct. 24 hours at this point. Because he said straight, his quote was, "Nobody I know wants to go back to school now."
Yeah.
And how do you talk them out of that?
Well, and then here's the thing, which maybe he wouldn't admit. Maybe it's not true, but I'm just putting myself in those shoes. Is there something to do with me here? Like, you know what I mean? Am I the magnet? Like, not that that's a valid thought,
right?
But you can't.
That can go in a number of directions.
When grief hits, you can't control these things up here. You can only control what you do after you receive the thought.
Your moment to moment.
And it's not a fun place to be, as many people that I'm sure are listening right now have experienced grief to a degree where it knocks you off your feet and you go from, moment to moment of where am I even really at right now? Not in the sense of, where my feet are standing, but just what am I dealing with?
Well, our minds are diabolical like that.
Yeah, diabolical. Great word for the youngsters these days.
Well, I mean, because you think about it, we start out young, we need somebody taking care of us. We need a lot of people taking care of us. And then when we get old, we end up in the same spot, ironically, right? But we end up in that spot, the stats say, from dementia, can be Alzheimer's. Is it in our families? A lot of us it is. It's in mine.
Is that mine as well?
I already have short-term memory issues, which I think is probably
a good thing. No,
it can be. It can be. I've had some things where my kids and a lot of people have said, "Hey, remember that time?" And I look at them like they got 10 heads. They're like, "Yeah, seriously?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't remember." And they're like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "Maybe my brain wanted me to forget it. That's for a reason I don't know yet."
Yeah,
So it can go anywhere, any kind of different direction. But yeah, that was something that came out today that. You got this student there who he's like, wow, I lost my sister 11 years ago, which I can't believe it's been 11 years since Parkland already.
Right.
So that's what I'm trying to, my point is, look at the timeline of things that have taken place that used to be huge, startling news. And then FSU yesterday, everybody's already swept left.
Yeah.
They've already done it, guys.
Yeah.
We're already there. And that never became national news. It's just here. We're the only ones that know about it. We're the only ones hearing about it.
Right.
And that is a sad commentary on the lack of humanity that we're dealing with now.
Yeah.
That's deep stuff. It's really deep stuff. It should be sending shockwaves, but it's just doing a barely of a ripple of a rock hitting a pond and it's out in the ether like that.
And I don't understand.
And that's not going to help changing things.
It's not going to change.
Yeah.
No, because once you start getting
we have to make
used
people,
to.
If you want to evoke change, you have to make people feel uncomfortable. And if people are already comfortable with the situation, like he's saying, like Coach Ford's saying, and it's like they're numb to it, desensitized in a sense, because this is like everyday stuff now. When before, like you said, when Columbine happened in 1999, I remember like me and my friends were actually like not working that day. And we were sitting around like watching TV, and that's what we were watching about. And like a guy that I was hanging out with lived in Colorado before he came down here, so he was familiar with the Columbine area.
So
and
he
like,
was shook up.
He knew stuff about it. I wouldn't really say shook up. I mean, it was a big deal because he didn't like know the people, but he could kind of relate, and he could tell us a little bit more about it because of him being from the area. Like a lot of the kids that went to that school, a lot of their parents like worked for like defense contractors because it's kind of close, I think, to Colorado Springs and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and
it's in a great part of town.
A lot of like military type people.
The school was brand new.
So you got like a lot of, influential type people, living in there, working in that community, like, I don't want to say like elite type people, but people of that ilk, you know what I mean?
Right.
They were up
So you wouldn't expect.
I used that word yesterday, and I was like, I sound like a member.
You wouldn't expect that kind of, stuff happening in a community like that. You'd always be thinking it'd be like on like a community that's like in a lower tax bracket, let's put it that way. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's like, it was a big deal because it was the people that you would think are better than that, if you will, maybe.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the scary thing is that has become almost romanticized now to Gen Z. And I don't say that lightly. It's been ideation of they see the videos, and I'm not going to mention the guys who did it because I don't believe in saying the perpetrators' names to glorify
continuing
them.
on with infamy. Yeah.
Right. But they are looked up to in a large segment of our young society right now. I mean, y'all got to know that they're looked up to. And
wait, the shooters are looked up to?
Yes.
By the youngins?
Yes, they are. And
Or are they saying they're skivvy or something?
Well,
I'm sorry to bring in humor to that.
Well, no, it's like anything, right? Where you feel, say you're a young person, you feel wronged, and the target word is bullied.
Yeah.
Okay. Which those guys claimed that they were, but evidence came out that they were not later.
Right.
That was the excuse. They just were, they needed some help. Let's just say that. And they came from good families. These are very good families they came from. So they're capable of that. Now you have kids who are not from good families, who have compromised backgrounds, have basically, let's just say, every opportunity to commit wrongs.
They have a built-in excuse.
I didn't want to say it, but that's.
But they built that excuse, though, right?
Yeah, but most people would look at it like if you come from an unfortunate background, you're more like.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah, no.
More likely to be doing wrong stuff.
Right.
Like
the
that,
whole, can you blame me for what I did? And you say, yes.
If you fabricate that story, you have the built-in excuse. But then we know when something like this happens, the details are going to come out eventually. And so that brings me to a question that I had no idea I was going to ask. But so if kids from good families are doing this, do we have hope?
You have to have hope, Dave.
I get that.
You have to.
I get
It's
that.
not a choice.
But that's one of the things that we always say it comes down to is like how you're raised and all of that, you know, and me as someone who's been raised, like I know I was raised correctly. However, I know that I've found my way down roads that I should not have been going down.
Decision making.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you could be raised good, like, and have good parents that have good intentions, but then you got stuff like this that screws you up.
Right.
On the phone, like, you know, and
Even
social
your
media
friends,
apps.
like, and I was like a
and
leader
that kind of stuff getting
amongst
in your
my
head.
friends, but still, I was one who led myself down paths that I didn't. But I'm so thankful for those paths that I went down now because I can.
You learned.
I learned, but I can also communicate with people that maybe if I know how it is being someone who's been on the wrong side of the path or whatever, and someone's talking to me and they're a goody two shoes. I'm not probably going to listen to you very much like when I was a younger kid.
Sure.
But the person who's been on the same side of the tracks as myself has been, I have more of an ear open to you because it's like, all right, you know kind of what I'm going through.
Right.
And so I guess I'm thankful for that because I can connect personally with all walks of life. There's no one that I can't, at the very least, it doesn't matter what words are coming out of my mouth because sometimes just having your ears open and someone feeling like they're finally being listened to, because people drop problems on me all the time and I'm like, what is it? Like, I've known you for 5 minutes, you know?
Right.
But then they start talking to me, so I'm like, it's a, I guess, as you would call in the Christian life, like a gift. To an extent,
Well,
right?
people, they inherently feel that.
Yeah, and they appreciate the empathy, I would say.
Yes. Well, they call people like me and you, and maybe even you, Rick, because you seem to be an empath in a way. You know, we all have some hard exteriors.
Yeah.
Because again, that's something I know that we're going to talk about later. The stereotypical things that we're still breaking down as men, and the image that we're still supposed to uphold. So we hear, right, and we do that, right? We fill that role. Whether it's with pride or not, you know, only we know that, right?
Yeah.
Behind our eyes. But, you know,
pride is the devil, J. Cole song.
there you go. So there's just a lot that goes into this discussion. It's a layered thing. You could do a whole series on it, you know?
It would be a once a month for 12 months, like nothing but talking about this. And will we get to the bottom of it? No. Will we scratch the surface? Maybe. But my goal, anyways, especially after my brother took his life, is like one person. And my whole entire life, if it's one person that gets helped out just from the words that come out of my mouth or the words that come from this particular studio, like that's all worth it.
Well, that's why I used the opportunity before we got out of class yesterday to talk about what happened at FSU.
Right.
I felt it was like I needed to do it. Nobody told me I needed to do it.
Right.
But I took it upon myself to say, you know what? These kids already listened to me, so I'm going to do this now, right? But parting shot before we go to, nope, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Parting ways before we go into the weekend. This is what the thought I wanted to leave them with, right?
Yeah.
Especially all the stuff that has been going on at PC.
Right.
And I know some of these kids are down there.
Yeah.
And I have to tell my kids who are 21 and 18, don't go down there.
Oh,
tell them
that's
every
that's such a tough place to be. Like, don't go to spring break. You're 21 and 18. Where does everyone want to go? Across the bridge.
And like, this is not a discussion. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
you don't go down there, right?
Yeah.
So I told these kids yesterday, I said, look, let's be honest. A lot of the things that landed y'all in here, you made a series of bad decisions, okay? So start being honest with yourself because that's where it actually starts. That's where change begins, right?
We always talk about hypocrites. Sorry about this, but I was thinking about this the other night in church. We were talking about honesty and being honest with yourself.
Yes.
And the word hypocrisy, or a hypocrite, such a buzzword, somewhat like narcissist or some of the words that you used earlier. There's times when we're hypocritical to ourselves. I think when we're honest with ourselves and we know when we're down bad or whatever, that's not going to change anything, but at least we're being honest with ourselves in that sense. But we can be hypocritical to ourselves.
Right. The thing is, I knew that I had their attention.
Yeah.
And this is a group of kids who, all kids right now, are very distracted.
Yeah.
The whole generation's very distracted.
Yeah.
Again, because of what Rick said. You just hold up this.
Me and myself on the show. Like, I'm like
squirreling, right?
I use multitasking as an excuse for being distracted.
I told them, watch your friend groups.
Yeah.
And if they're pulling you in a certain way, guess what? They're not your friend, man.
Yeah.
You know, they're not your friend. If they're telling you to go down an alley and go check something out, that's not your friend. You need to be strong enough. And I said, I know it's hard. I said, I had to do it. I had to walk away from a good friend of mine. We used to go all over the town. We would destroy people on the basketball court.
Yeah.
They thought we were brothers. But he went a different way. And I told him, I said, look, bro, I love you, man, but I can't be caught with you doing this. It's guilty. We're in a society that's guilty by association.
Yeah.
It was then, still is now.
It is.
I'm like, I'll ball with you anytime, man. We'll go kill it anytime. But I got to ride separately because he used to want to come pick me up.
Yeah.
I shared that story with them the other day. I let them know, look, I'm not telling you anything I didn't already have to face.
Right.
And it sucks. I think about that dude every single day, and I know where he is. And
So he is still alive, though. There is that.
Barely.
Okay.
He's still living.
Right.
And he reached out to me a couple months ago, and that's a whole other conversation. It's like when that person reaches out to you that you've been thinking about, what do you do? Because do you want to open up the life that you've led?
There's that wormhole.
We're all people. We're all connected in different ways. We all make choices. We are the sum of the choices that we make.
I've got a friend just like that where we were, ride or die buddies or whatever. And I'm not saying him or me was the bad apple. We were both. We had tendencies that were mischievous,
That's fair. That's fair.
And it was one of those things that I kind of realized, and it was like, I'm not blaming you. It's just when me and you get together, we are a negative and a negative, but it does not make a positive. We are not mathematically correct in this,
right.
And,
We're not doing
so,
algebra here.
Yeah, exactly. So it was more, one of those things where we haven't talked in a long time, and there's been so many times where I want to just reach out to him and be like, I see, I talked to, yeah. Well, not just, no, it's because it's not a him. Like he's in, got a family and all that good stuff, but it's also one of those things where it's just like, let's just, we've gone this
Less
far.
is more.
Yeah, less is more. Like you can have your good, I can have my good, and we don't have to bring that together. And if we by happenstance run into each other, then great. And I want to talk with you, but I don't think either one of us should reach out and make it happen just because we have that opportunity.
It just goes back to that whole, what's your friend group? Who's your friend? Who's not? And I'm not saying all this stuff leads into violence.
You're right.
But what I'm saying, but it can. Mm-hmm. And you don't know when you're faced with that decision that could lead to something big. We honestly don't know everything that we say to people during the day. We don't know how they're going to take it and what they're going to do with it.
That one's so tough. And that one goes, that's a blanket. Right? Yeah. What we say to people, we don't know how they're going to take it because that could be someone as you and your ex-girlfriend, you and your current girlfriend, you and your fiance, whatever. But you don't know, especially if it's on this daggum device right here and you're texting it out.
In texting.
Yeah, and there's no, you cannot grab not just the context, but the tone, the vocal tone,
no body language.
Yeah,
right.
There's nothing.
It's inhuman.
Yeah,
it's all
we get emotional about it.
But we bring the human element.
It's what you have up in your head, how you read that, how you interpret it. It's how your mind's going and what's going on up there.
You project.
Cause somebody can, text the same thing, and you can interpret it, maybe 50 different ways,
right?
Depending on how your frame of mind and where your mental capacity is at. So I think it has a lot to do with yourself when you're reading a text and where you're at in your space in your mind.
That's a great point as well. K-Man Rick, Coach Dave Ford in the building with us. AI Alex says double doink, 4th and 10 Rodgers to Cobb, Bears versus Packers, and then Bartman is up there too. I believe he's a Chicago sports fan there. AI Alex, as we are calling question of the day is, what's the most heartbreaking loss that you've ever witnessed as a fan? You can text or call in your answer to the Jed Lawyers phone line. Boston Tim says, amen, brother. God placed you in people's lives because you are a gift. I know that I'm blessed, and you can tell the world that. Well, Boston Tim, you are a huge blessing to the world, a blessing to myself, a blessing to Caveman Rick, a blessing to this station, and just keep on doing your thing, man. There's not many like you, and I'm so glad that the Lord did place each other in each other's lives. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida, your home for the Coach James Hale Show in the morning. We'll be right back. 5:40, Race to Talladega, our final edition of that coming up.
Keep the game going with ESPN Northwest Florida. Just because you get out of the car doesn't mean the Sports Talk and Live play-by-play have to end. Just say, hey, Alexa, open ESPN Northwest Florida. From Michigan Avenue to the Man Cave, from the car to the kitchen, we've got you covered. Keep the game going. Hey, Alexa, open ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Friday. Sunny the remainder of the day with a moderate breeze coming out of the south-southeast around 14 miles per hour and temps near 78. Tonight we will have a mixture of slight fog and clear skies and be quite warm at 65. Mostly sunny tomorrow and a high 79. Some clouds Sunday with a temp of 78. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Bestway Portable Buildings recognizes the optimism in the air, and a golden age has begun for all to share. Bestway has been constructing durable, custom-made portable buildings in just about any size since 1989. They know what they're doing. Of course, you're not obligated in any way to buy from Bestway Portable Buildings. However, owner Jason Mulder asks that you please give them a try before you buy. Bestway Portable Buildings, a golden age builder north of the Old Mall on Highway 231 and online at bestwayportablebuildings.com.
Hi, folks. It's Tracy from Tracy's Fine Jewelry. Did you know that we have a master jeweler right here in the store? That's right. She has over 20 years experience in the art of repairing jewelry. Most repairs are done within a week, so don't send your jewelry off for 6 weeks. Bring it to us at Tracy's Fine Jewelry. We size rings and solder chains. We can reset your diamond into a new setting and even custom design. You'll get your jewelry back quickly and looking as good as new. Tracy's Fine Jewelry, Bay County's trusted jeweler for over 50 years.
Nah, we're live and local inside the CBC Construction Studios. Chop on, Braves fans.
That is gone!
Since 2017, your home for the Atlanta Braves on the Gulf Coast. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Binge that crap tonight.
Binge it! That is what we're hearing from Coach Dave Ford. He's saying, binge my books. And I've got an opportunity for you to win a signed copy of Show Up For You, which Coach Ford has in the studio. Coach, how do we want to give this away? How about we go first caller?
Sure, let's
go
right
first caller, 850-215-6290 on the Jed Lawyers phone line. We've got a book in here. Show Up For You. Coach Ford, tell us a little bit more about the book. I haven't dove into that one as much as I have to the smaller ones are nice and
the other ones are more fun.
You can breathe. No, I don't. Honestly, that's one that I almost look at. All right, transparency I feel like is a very fair thing to talk about when we're sitting here talking about. All right, so sometimes you look at that Bible, right? And it's like,
that's
not
me.
today.
That's me.
Not today.
It's right on my
That's how I look at that book sometimes where I'm just like, I need to read that, but I just don't, right? There's so many things that pop up or whatever. The multitasking of your mind, for me, sometimes used as an excuse, especially with procrastination. But Show Up For You, tell us a little bit about that. We only have 11 minutes. I can't believe the time has escaped us. Show Up For You. Tell us about that. If you want a copy of the book, it's signed by Coach Dave Ford, 850-215-6290 on the Jed Lawyers phone line.
Yeah, I'll try to be fast. The concept came from working with my daughter, who is 21 now, but at the time she was a senior in high school. And as I've said before, she suffers from bipolar disorder, ADHD, and anxiety. And she's got a triple threat there. And it's a daily thing that we experience together. In fact, she called me from work today. She needed advice on something. And I I don't take that lightly. That's a blessing that my oldest kid really cares that much about what I think and trusts me with that information. So that's a responsibility that's dear to my heart. But it's based on her anxiety was really dominating her in her senior year. And she was getting these bouts of fear. She was just locking herself in the bathroom at school. And she's like, Dad, I don't think I can come out because everybody's looking at me. So it's a concept to me that was very foreign. Yeah. I've always been confident. I didn't really care about people thought about me. I just did my thing.
To a degree, when you're confident and people are looking at you, you don't look at it as in you're looking at me in a bad way. You're looking at me because I'm awesome.
Could be.
I mean, no, I'm saying when you're, I feel like when I'm in a confident mindset, it's like, you're not looking at me thinking negative things about me, even if you possibly could be. It's just, you're looking at me because I'm.
So ironically, like we talked about texting in the last segment, right? Yeah. Where it's generally emotions out of it. Right. This was a unique opportunity where I injected emotion into it. And I said, baby, we've talked about every other thing that we can do. We've done therapy. We've done treatment. Mm-hmm. I said, you know what? It ain't about everybody in that hallway. It ain't about anybody in your classroom. This is your education and this is your life. I said, show up for you. And I was like, I had never heard that. And I'm like, did I just say something that maybe was said for the first time? There's no way to prove it. Right? And I didn't look. But I said, yeah, let's just go with that. And it became a mantra. And I'm not saying it was because of that day. I'm not taking credit for that. She put in the work.
Right.
She bought into the idea of, yeah, you know what? Even if I don't feel great, which normally, you know, when you're suffering from those things, you don't. But you got to fight
every day to get your tail out of bed.
And she did, and she graduated on time, and I got to watch her, you know, go across the stage at Mosley High School. I'll never forget it. Yeah. And that was a victory. Like, that was a win. It was like, felt better to me than any district title, any win in the FHSA state playoffs. I mean, I'm being for real. Like, when your kid wins,
it's you win. It's you living vicariously through them without living vicariously through them, because the victory isn't mine necessarily, but the victory is ours.
Right.
And that's a powerful feeling, and especially because it's not, the victory to you isn't sweet because it's, look what I did. The victory's sweet because look what they did.
Exactly.
And that's
powerful, and you can literally live off that the rest of your life, because when you get low again, you're like, you know, I did that, so if I did it then, I can do it now. Yeah. And so it's 365 pages of one thing. It's all original content. I didn't steal anything. I didn't quote anybody. It's all mine. And under everything, I put context. This is how it related to my life. This is how I work through it. Yeah. And I open it talking about...
Better than a text message.
Well, you know, some days you got it, some days you don't. But the first passage in there is talking about I needed to pass what used to be called the CLAST test. It was CLAST. Okay. To just get your associate's degree to go to university, right? So I was at a junior college. Math has been my nemesis forever. Okay, I'm an English guy through and through. And I had already failed this test twice. You get 3, like baseball. 3 strikes, you're out.
Right.
A little bit of pressure there, right? I bought this thick book, studied that sucker every day and night. Then your anxiety starts going, can I do this? Because if I don't, I'm not going to USF. Yeah. What's going to happen to my life if I don't do this? So I'm in the lobby at the test auditorium, and you're going into a lab, and it's a room that's almost as small as this, right? Everybody can hear what you're saying. Yeah. I went temporarily insane. Sometimes you have to do that, and I started telling myself, today is the day I turn the corner. Yeah. Today is the day I turn the corner, over and over and over again. As I sit here, I get goosebumps back, because I remember that's my life changed. I pivoted that day. I didn't let fear dominate me anymore. I killed that test, and I got my associate's degree, and the rest is history. Yeah. And so that's the first passage in there, is that you do have to convince yourself. You do. Even if you're not the most talented.
You have to lie to yourself.
You're not the smartest. You don't have it, but maybe you can have it, because you can get that energy in the moment, because you actually deserved it in that moment. You won that part.
It's so wild, because for me personally, going back to transparency, I've had situations where I've had to deal with anxiety, but after November, there's like where I live with it, you know what I mean? Like, and not being used to that. And I remember people used to talk about it, like the anxiety that they would deal with. And it's like, oh, it's like this crushing weight. And I'm like, it just doesn't make sense to me, you know what I mean? And not shortchanging it or anything, but as of lately, it's like one of those things where, you have to convince yourself. Even if you're dealing with that, right, you got to find a way to go on, and you're going to slip up. Like I think that's one of the biggest things, that you have to give yourself grace, because one, you're not going to get it from many other places. Right. This guy right here is one of, like, I would say, one of my better friends, and the exterior shell that he puts off or whatever is really not the human being that he is. But you have to be real with Caveman Rick. If you're real with him, he'll be real back with you. But you don't get grace, over and over again, especially from people that you don't know. You have to give yourself that grace, and you have to wake up and show up for you.
You do.
I did not coin that term. There's some guy, Coach Dave Ford. That is a good term, though. Show up for you.
Well, I messaged you last week, and I'm proud of you the way that you're getting up every day. I am. I mean that, man to man, person to person. I have not suffered through anything that you've been through. I haven't. I've been very fortunate in my life. I still have my parents. I still have a lot of my family. I'm very, very blessed. And I thank God for that every single day. In the backyard, moment of gratitude. I'm feeding the birds.
Yeah.
I thank him every single day for having my parents still at my age.
Yeah.
That's very rare.
You're right.
Now, when I do experience it, somebody's going to need to hold me up.
Yeah.
And maybe one of y'all. I'm going to need somebody to hold me up because my parents are everything to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they are everything to me. And so, look, life is fragile. We're here today.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going to happen when we drive out of here.
Mm-hmm.
We have no idea. Traffic's bad, right? The city is overpopulated. You don't know if you're going to make it home. That's why I tell these young drivers, it's no guarantee that when you leave your driveway, if you didn't say what you needed to say before you left, you probably should do that.
Yeah.
Be more intentional in life. But that's a lot of what that's about is self-empowerment. It's also about you're going to feel low. But like you said, if you don't give yourself grace, you can't expect anybody else to do it. If you haven't let yourself off the hook today, who's going to do it?
Right. I mean, and it goes back to, and maybe some people don't believe it is what it is at that point. I'm not going to force anything down your throat, but if your father, and when I say your father, I'm not talking about your humanly father, I'm talking about God and Jesus, the Godhead, the three in one, if they can give you grace for the stupidity that sometimes comes out of our mouth or comes out in our actions, or sometimes we blame ourselves for our thoughts, and we really can't control those. We can only control, again, after we get the thought, what we're going to do. But if we get grace from that, from a perfect being, then we have to give ourselves grace, or else we don't really have a shooting shot. Well, let's go, Pete. We don't have a chance.
Yeah. Well, even without all the adjectives you said to describe it, like you just say human, that's a given.
Yeah, right.
Because we're all messed up.
Right.
We're full of flaws. We're a bunch of fallacies. And whether we lead a great life or not, we still make mistakes every day. But as long as you're not doing that same mistake and not making it a habit, then you're on the way to a right place.
Yeah, I agree with that. K-Man Rick, anything to add?
No, man, I think it's all, well said.
Coaching. You're a coach. We've got a couple of minutes here, about 3, give or take here. Coaching with empathy. We've been on this kind of a subject. So what about coaching with empathy? What youth coaches, specifically not high school? We're not to the full-on competitive level yet, even though I think all sports should be competitive.
Yeah.
But there still is that fact. I was talking about this today with Coach Ryan Mulvey. We coached together on flag football, and I was like, I think this year I'm going to try even harder to make sure that everyone plays. Maybe not same amount, because I'm not going to sit here and play participation trophy. I never want to be that type of coach. But also, if you signed up to play, I don't want you to fall out of love with this sport, because I heard from someone else how their daughter was playing baseball and she loved it. Then she played under one coach that had her playing one single position half the time or whatever, and she fell out of love with the sport. And I was like, I hate that. And I don't want to be that coach. So how do we coach with empathy?
Well, we all have bad coaches. If you're in sports long enough at every level, you're going to have bad coaches. I can tell you about the ones I had, and I can tell you about what I got from them, even them not being the most desirable person, right? But coaching with empathy is something that I learned later. I had already been coaching 20-plus years. I'm more old school, hard-nosed.
Hard knocks. School of hard knocks, baby.
But I think the best thing that I did is I took a step back and I started coaching the youth at the old rec center before Hurricane Michael came and turned it upside down. That was probably one of the best moves I ever made. Some of the most fun I ever had. Now, we did a lot of winning, which makes it easier, right? Yeah. But there were some teams that we didn't do that.
Yeah.
And I had to challenge myself to say, you know what? This kid came to me because he or she just wants to play.
Right.
And I had to remember who I was, because I wanted to play, because I loved the concept of me being athletic and being out there having fun with my friends. So I took myself back to who I was, and I think you need to do that once in a while to just keep perspective and really be real with yourself. I think that the better coaches out there are the ones that remember who they were before they became a coach.
Yeah.
Remember why you started. When you get on that field, when you get on the court, whatever it is, a baseball diamond, there was the first time you did it.
Yep.
And there was a series of things that led you to get there.
Right.
Hope, excitement, and then, ooh, can I do this? And then I did it. Now I like it. I love this.
Yeah.
And then the coach comes in. Don't control that part.
Yeah.
Right? But you do control your reaction and your attitude and your effort. And so I think, I do life with empathy now.
Yeah.
And I think life is coaching. The whole thing is coaching. If you really think about it,
Coaching and being coachable.
Exactly. You have to be coachable.
Right.
Just like leaders have to follow first.
Yeah.
You're not a leader all the time. You didn't come out of the womb a leader.
You got to fit in where you get in.
Yes.
And sometimes it's a little bit of an uncomfortable fit because it does take you to be the leader. And then sometimes you have to back off of that. And I think that people who are natural born leaders, as myself, I would say I was always told this, but sometimes there is that time where it's like, all right, you're leading too much. Maybe fall back a little bit. As always, time went by way too daggone fast. K-Man, thanks for coming in, my man.
Oh, hey, don't forget to tell them about, was it next Sunday you got your book signing, right?
Yes.
It is.
Oh, my
Thank
gosh.
you so
How
much.
did I? Oh.
Yeah, so we don't forget.
1 to 3 downtown Bookish Boutique on the Sunday, 1 to 3, April 27th. Come out and see me.
Next Friday? You down?
Next Sunday.
No. I'm asking you next Friday. Do you want to come back in?
Oh, let's go.
All right, next
Then
Friday.
You gotta ask.
I don't know. I won't have you here. Will I next Friday?
Maybe so.
Maybe so.
He's gonna make it happen.
We'll
He'll
figure
make
it
it
out.
happen.
Dave Ford, a whole 2 hours next week.
Let's go.
All right.
Let's get it.
Whole 2 hours next week. Bone Crusher's like, dude, you got to get to break. It's almost 5 o'clock. All right, fine. I'll listen. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs here on ESPN Northwest Florida. We'll be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida presents the Race to Talladega.
And now on the line with us, our second qualifier, Paul Ritchie, with a time of what, James?
5 seconds.
5 seconds? Paul, what's going on?
Not a whole lot. How you doing this afternoon?
Doing well, man. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited you are about the possibility of going to Talladega?
Always a 10. Always a 10.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good evening. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your forecast on this Friday. A mixture of slight fog and clear skies tonight with very little wind, and look for the low to be 65. Tomorrow morning, there will be a variety of slight fog and sunshine with the temperature reaching 77. Mostly sunny in the afternoon and evening with a high of 78. Sunday will 78 and sun clouds. This weather is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Want to experience the ultimate car wash? At Tommy's Express, you'll love our open and bright tunnels, easy loading, flat belt conveyor, unlimited membership, and free vacuums and mat washers. Try us for free. Text WASH 415 to 86697 to send our best wash, The Works, directly to your phone. You'll love the sudsy clean, ceramic wax, underbody flush, spot-free rinse, and tire gloss. Experience the difference and visit Tommy's Express today. Offer valid to new guests only. By participating, you consent to receive promotional and information text from Tommy's Express. Message and data rates may apply. Message frequency varies.
WGSX Lynn WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Come experience the weird and wonderful world of El Weirdo, a brewery and taco pub in downtown Panama City on Oak Avenue. El Weirdo is serving up delicious street tacos, magical lizard fries, locally brewed beer, margaritas, and more. All surrounded by art, oddities, and all things weird. It's a feast for your eyes and your mouth. Visit El Weirdo in historic downtown Panama City today.
El Weirdo, 24 West Oak Avenue, and online at elweirdodowntown.com.
You found us inside the CBC Construction Studios. Eat, sleep, game. This is your sports obsession. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs. ESPN Northwest Florida.
We're back for hour number 2, live from the CBC Construction Studios here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Go to cbcconstruction.com or give them a call at 850-747-3815. And also our call-in question of the day, something I'm going to try to keep on rolling here with the Afternoon Underdogs, and at least until we get back to football season, and then I just can't keep my mouth shut about anything. But the call-in question of the day, what's the most heartbreaking loss that you've ever witnessed as a fan? What is your most heartbreaking loss that you've ever witnessed as a fan? You can text or call the Jed Lawyers phone line at 850-215-6290.
I was in a good mood, Hayes.
I don't want you to be here in a good mood. Come on now. We've been talking about mental health for the last hour.
Jimmy's a Jet fan. How's he going to narrow it down?
Oh, man. Because it can't be the butt. If you're a real Jet fan, the butt fumble can't be the most heartbreaking situation.
Oddly enough, it's the Yankees that gave me my biggest heartbreak.
So y'all probably shared the same
2001?
heartbreak?
2001.
Diamondbacks?
That one was
Luis
that was
Gonzalez.
Oh, forget that. It's what led up to it.
Yeah.
You know, oddly enough, the dynamics in my house for that particular game, my father, a lifelong Yankee fan, so I was watching it with him. But as that fateful inning of Hayes, began to unfold, I already knew in my gut, knowing what it means when it comes to it factor. I'm like, oh boy. I looked at my dad. I looked at my dad, who was getting on in his years, and I thought to myself, I will not have my last memories of watching Yankee games with my pop being what I'm about to see, because I feel it coming. I went in the other room. Now, my mother is always in another room back in the day. She'd be watching whatever, All in the Family. She don't care about sports. And when Mariano grabbed that ball, guys, and turned around and threw it into center field, first of all, I had already removed myself from the room. My father's like, where are you going?
Yeah.
You want to talk about chaos in the house? And I was like, I'm not watching this with you. You got to understand. We'll talk later. I'm the mature one in this case. He's like, where are you going? Oh, my God. And when the ball sailed into center field and Mariano missed the target, that would have basically been a double play there, Coach, you know. Ball sails into center field. I hear my father yelp, and I hear my mom. I guess she heard a rumble in the house and switched on over, and you hear her go, oh, my God! So basically, and I knew it was the end of I kind of felt it was the end of the dynasty, and I was right, but even though a couple of years later, we squeaked out one and then lost to the Marlins, another beating. But for me, it's the Yankees. That's the biggest heartache.
That one was so bad because, the Mariners had their historic year. The Yankees are riding this wave of emotion after 9/11. They get there, and it's like it's destined, it's meant to be, and then...
I don't think being from New York and being in New York at the time that did not factor into your psyche.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's different.
It's one of the
days,
few
right?
times in my life, Jimmy, I don't know how you felt it being in New York.
Yeah.
It's one of the very few times I felt like the Yankees for 1 year but kind of became America's team because of what had happened.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people pulling for the Yankees that year that normally do not.
Not to over-dramatize, because it is sports after all, but sports isn't emotionally...
Sports needs to be over-dramatized.
It is emotionally connected to every person who backs a sports team in their city, and... It felt even worse. Because we had already lost so much that's obviously so much more important than losing a World Series, but I wanted that one so bad for so many different reasons. A lot of them, the internet trolls would probably have a field day with.
Yeah.
But that's how it was.
How you feeling about your... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, you know what mine is.
It's got to be 1999, 2000 NFL season. Tennessee Titans 1 yard short.
No, because I had
That's mine.
I had not lived in Nashville yet, so I wasn't a Titans fan. I'll have to tell you a funny story about that game later, but that's an off the air story. 2013, that kick six hurt. I remember I was sitting there on my couch.
Because of how many...
I will never watch it ever again. I run from a room when it comes on. I was sitting on my couch.
You got to face that anxiety.
No.
We've been talking about mental health all day here.
No,
You're going to fill in this traumatic experience for me, please? 2013?
Kick six. Alabama,
Auburn, yeah.
Okay.
Nick Saban argues, gets 1 second on the clock, lines up a 50-something yard field goal with a kid who couldn't kick it 30.
But wait, who was the kicker? Was that not Jamie?
Tiffin.
It wasn't Christensen. No, because he kicked the knuckleball in the Cotton Bowl.
No, but it was another guy. No,
was it?
No,
wait, it wasn't.
They brought out. No, they brought. It wasn't.
Yeah, that's right. They brought out a kicker who doesn't kick because it was like, oh, you can kick a little further.
It was a punter who does the kickoffs.
I'm not gonna say stupid because it was Nick Saban doing it. So it's very smart of you, Coach.
Alabama, Auburn. The winner goes to the national championship game every year, and it comes up short. Gus Malzahn pulls off the coaching move of the decade. He not only sets a guy in the end zone, but has basically a wedge drawn up.
I understand.
And it played out perfectly. And I remember I sat there on my couch and watched that. At the instant he caught it, I knew. You could see it.
You knew from the instant
you could see it.
I mean, I got that gut-wrenching feeling.
And I just sat there by myself, and I watched it, and I didn't do anything at all. And I just clicked power off and sat for 10 minutes in complete isolated silence in my apartment.
Right.
It was awful.
Yeah.
And I won't watch it. I I literally will
You
run
take
out of a
things serious.
room.
You do
I
take
cannot
things
watch
serious.
that play. It hurts.
Oh, old man shaking fist at a cloud.
No, that's not. I would want to be angry about it.
Yeah. It's heartbreaking
it's a
still.
kick in the gut. I can't deal with it.
Kind of like when Sami Zayn beat Gunther.
Now that one got me angry.
Yeah, that was fairly traumatic. Come on now.
Oh, goodness gracious. What about the
Jinder Mahal being Randy?
Oh, Jinder Mahal pinning Nakamura and taking all the air out of his Japanese balloon. That was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio Brad says, I've seen the Indians lose 3 World Series in my life. I think they all went to Game 7-2. Could be wrong. I don't
The
necessarily remember
Marlins
that.
Indians one was...
Well, the one
Was that
against
the
the
first
Cubs.
one for the Marlins, like 96?
That was torture.
It was 97.
Yeah,
It was 97.
97.
The one against the Cubs would have been bad, too, because they fought back, took it into, extras? Went to extras that game, didn't we?
I was 5. 6.
No, it was 2016.
Oh, 2016. Oh, Cubs. Cubs and Indians. Okay, gotcha.
But they
go back to the Indians, dadgummit.
Of course, the two teams it'd be the Indians at the time and the Cubs.
Right,
but
the ones with the long
that one had to hurt them
wait.
because they had fought their way back.
Yeah.
So the Indians haven't necessarily broke their curse the way that the Red Sox.
The Indians have not won since 1948 when
48.
Bob Feller was the center of the...
Now, the
center of the
ultimate
pitching universe. Yep.
The Indians Cubs in 16 was about as good as it gets for that. The ultimate would have been in 03 when Aaron Boone earned legend status. But and
Slow
Steve
down.
Bartman,
The at bat earned
he earned it for a year.
He's not a legend.
But my point is, 03 when it looked like we might get Cubs Red Sox. Now that would have been
That would have
epic.
been- it would have been epic.
And then Steve Bartman happened and Aaron Boone happened and there we go.
Right.
So,
There we go. So what do we want to do here? We got Monty
We can
and
do anything
Pharaoh
here.
coming up at 5:20, but right now we've got Coach Brian and Jimmy, and then you will get into the bathroom or get into the phone booth like like Clark Kent and turn into Jimmy Pharaoh at that point in time. But what are we doing until then, Coach? You
what
have
about
any
Aaron
ideas?
Glenn trying to be Bill Parcells? What about that?
Okay, I actually don't have any. I don't have insight on that one. I have because of where I knew the show was going today.
Yeah.
Right. I knew that I had a guy coming in who I've had on the show multiple times, and I always ask him to stay over for a segment. So I knew we were talking mental health with with what went down at FSU yesterday. So we spent a large amount of time on that. Then I was like, we're talking WrestleMania after that. Like maybe I'll get a segment to talk about the resurrection of Jesus Christ. At
Well,
some
the way
point
you just
in time.
the way you just shifted gears from going from mental health to professional wrestling. I mean, why not?
Right. So, hey, listen, this is a man show here on the Afternoon Underdogs. Give us a call on the Jet and Lawyer's phone line, 850-215-6290. Tell me about this Aaron Glenn situation, head coach of the Jets.
Well, recently, of course, on the Pat McAfee show, there's another wrestling tie-in, right,
Yeah.
Coach?
There you go.
On the McAfee show.
How do you,
where-
real quick,
Yeah.
how do you like Pat McAfee? Like, on wrestling.
I love him.
Okay, because I
love
think
him.
when I
This is-
listen to him, I'm like, he is really he's really good at everything that he does.
Yeah.
He's really good at that.
Oh,
though.
he's a natural for that. He's an extension of. He could never be. But what do you grump? What do you
Grumpy
grump?
old man.
You remember this?
Get off my lawn, Pat.
You remember this? One of my visits to your fine program, Monty and the Pharaoh.
Yeah.
Long Island and Northwest Florida's #1 wrestling show.
And we're #1 in the country now. But I got to ask Mike about that. I found out that we just made #1.
Oh,
on
got to change
audio.
the tagline. Okay, I don't. It's a personal thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really care for McAfee in that role. What y'all's point to me was at the time, and you were correct.
Okay.
McAfee is better with Cole than anyone else is with Cole, and that is true.
But aren't they good friends too, though?
They are, but I don't.
Chemistry is everything when you got any sort of color commentary and
100%.
And it works with
100%.
those two. And I think that's what I was pointing out.
And I think y'all were right. I don't personally like McAfee on that show that much. I don't hate him. game. Like, I'm not turning the channel.
Is it because you think he gets to become a little too much of the show at times?
I think he makes himself too much the center.
I think he makes the most of what he's asked to do.
I like that. I like that answer. And I don't think that he does, like when he is doing the most that he's asked to do or whatever, I don't think that he's ever making things about Pat McAfee. It's just he's over the top, and some people can't take it.
And look, it may not be fair. Look, I'm comparing it. Well, I'm trying. I'm trying to compare him to Lawler and Heenan.
You
and can't do that.
Yeah, there's no.
And so it is unfair. But I felt like they augmented what was going on in the ring, where sometimes I think Pat kind of does his own thing. And look, the kids may love it, and that's fine. It just isn't for me.
What you're looking for is, and there is a Heenan thing going on here with McAfee, but what you're looking for is McAfee doesn't possess one thing that Heenan possessed tenfold. Being clever with his humor.
Yes.
Cleverness is an art form,
and even
in
Lawler
comedy.
has that.
Yeah,
it usually exists in the forms of like sarcasm, for example. Like George Carlin,
that's right,
was clever.
That's right.
Don Rickles was abrasive, but if you listen to what he was saying, it was very clever.
Sometimes being abrasive rubs people wrong so hard that they won't even listen to the cleverness.
Right. Yeah. And I think that McAfee's more a circus.
Yeah,
with the way he performs. But I still think he's a home run in that circus he gives us.
I think he's very talented. I agree with you that he with Cole is better than anyone else with Cole.
Right.
Because he brings good stuff out of Cole.
It works.
I think it humanizes Michael Cole, if you can believe it. But it just isn't my cup of tea. That's all.
I got you. Well, as we were getting to, Aaron Rodgers was on McAfee's show. And he talked about the meeting when Aaron flew in to talk to Jets ownership and the current GM and Aaron Glenn. And basically, Aaron said that the meeting lasted all of maybe 20 to 40 minutes tops. He thought he was coming across country to have an intellectual conversation on what's in this for me. What's in this for you? What's your game plan? Can I help with this game plan? Is there a plan for me to help you guys get better? I believed all along that Aaron wanted to come back to the Jets. I don't think he wanted to go anywhere else. Now, for Aaron to complain that, I went across country and I got a private flight, I don't care what you spent, Aaron. Let's get that out of the way.
Yeah.
I could care less about, he spent his own dime to come over. I don't want to care when you go to Egypt to miss practice. I don't care. You got more money. You got more money than Moses over there. I suppose there's no one knows this about Moses. But
speaking of clever, there.
Oh, there you go. It's all in how you get the.
To be here all week, folks.
The point of But basically, Rodgers was asked by Glenn, "You still want to play football?" And Rodgers was like, "I'm interested," was his answer. Now, this is right away where I started to see that Aaron Glenn obviously wants to be like his mentor, Bill Parcells, his idol, Bill Parcells. See, to Bill Parcells, I'm interested isn't a yes.
Yeah.
Aaron Glenn immediately goes into Bill Parcells mode. Calls for the GM and says, "How would you like us to break it to the press about your release?"
Yeah.
Poof, wait a minute, bro. You haven't even coached a game yet.
Yeah.
So I understand why Aaron's upset. But let's face it, though, if they had not done this face-to-face, his main point was, I came all the way, face-to-face meeting. Well, if they hadn't done this face-to-face and had done this over the phone, Aaron would have also been like, they got no respect to bring me down.
Yeah. He would have found some way to poke holes in the story.
Exactly. Aaron is partially right to feel the way he does because of the way it was handled. Now, if I'm Aaron Glenn, if you ultimately have no plan for him, you don't got to basically go, "How would you like us to break this to the news?"
Yeah.
But give him 20 minutes? I wouldn't give Aaron Rodgers 20 minutes. I got to be honest.
Yeah.
Look, I sat through 2 years of poo-poo pie with football watching Aaron Rodgers in a Jet uniform. And I still would give him an hour or two to see whether or not this can work.
Oh, so you're saying 20 minutes wasn't enough.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay.
Think about that. Aaron Glenn hasn't coached a single game yet.
All right, but he also,
am I on his side as far as what he's trying to do?
Right.
Yes, I am, because the Jets have needed someone like this for a long time. But I'll tell you what, though, by releasing Rodgers, he's got an X on his back, and it better translate to wins. Because if it doesn't, Aaron Glenn's going to be completely under
See,
the gun.
my thinking on that is a
Under the
little
gun.
bit different, and I have 5 days a week to talk about this stuff. So, Coach Haddad,
No, I thought the comparison with Parcells was interesting. I tend to believe. I think they knew they were going to move on from him. I think
Yeah, so
Glenn
why
ceased
give him
it.
an
No,
hour or
I
two
think
when you-
I think
Why
Glenn,
bring him there at all?
yeah,
because here's
agree,
what I think.
agree more so with that.
That's
I
Aaron's
agree.
point.
But
I
here's
agree
what I
more so with
think,
that.
and I don't think
Right.
Rodgers
But
is
sometimes
wrong.
you got to have the conversation.
No,
Let's translate it into boyfriend and girlfriend or whatever.
What?
Sometimes, well,
This
I'm
is
just,
football. I'm not kissing you.
Yeah, well,
What are
I'm
you
not talking
talking
about me and
about?
you. What I'm saying is,
Oh, look at those
sometimes-
pretty laces on the ball. Go on. What is wrong with you?
No. What I'm saying is sometimes you have that relationship where, like, you did care enough about each other where you can have that sit down, and
Right.
but you don't want to give too much time because then all of a sudden you're falling right back into what it was.
I think the comparison to Parcells is right in this instance. I think they knew they were moving on. Aaron Glenn saw an opportunity to cement, I'm the king right now.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's why he did it like he did. And unfortunately, Aaron Rodgers' feelings be damned in Aaron Glenn's mind. I'm
Right.
going to
Yeah.
be the tuna, if
Right.
you will.
And with the glass
I think
half,
that's what happened.
With the glass half full, my optimism, because after all, the offseason every year is our Super Bowl. Okay. I'm very optimistic at this philosophy. I feel like if it does work and he can translate it to a successful team.
Siri didn't understand that.
We're good. Well, Siri better not be on the coaching staff this year. If he can take guys I've never heard of and make them names, the way Eli Manning made how many wide receivers wealthy?
That's right.
I mean, and forget wealth. What David Tyree was able to accomplish with the helmet catch, like the fame he was able to garner off of that, is enough said right there.
I mean, outside of Plaxico Burress, I don't know if there's a single sexy name Eli ever won with.
True.
OBJ.
No,
well, you got
one with Victor
one
is the
with
difference. Victor
David Tyree. I mean, yeah, you're right. He elevated a lot of guys.
You know, he elevated a
who
lot of
also
guys.
made that one? It wasn't Plex that made that.
It was Mario.
No, Mario
Manningham. Yeah,
That's
of course.
exactly right. Yeah,
Of course.
Michigan, right? That's
Yes.
where he went. Yeah,
Yes, he
Mario
went to Michigan.
Manningham.
So, you know what? I mean, like, Rodgers, I never felt this was all his fault, what's happened in the last 2 years. It's a 53-man roster, and our organization can't organize a shoe tying convention. You know, so I wasn't really upset with Rodgers, one way or the other. And Glenn, I'm optimistic about his attitude. What I do like is right away, the old Jets in the past bunch of years, they will start tweeting. I know we don't call it tweeting anymore. It's X or whatever it is. But they'll start with the keyboard warring and
Twitter fingers.
I hate it. Right. So when Glenn first came in and they released Rodgers, one of them went out on the tweet. I haven't seen a single tweet since.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for. Culture change. It's got to be culture change. There can't be public complaining. There can't be. He's going to build a team of men, or this is going to fail miserably. Now history suggests,
It's
because I
going
can
to
hear
fail
Monty.
miserably.
And he's probably right. This will fail miserably with the Jets.
Well, we're not going to fail miserably here on the Afternoon Underdogs. We'll just attempt to fail miserably, but it'll probably just be a failure.
I'm
miserable
trying.
failure. No, but not here when we've got Monty Farrow and Coach Brian Haddad. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. We are less than 20 minutes away from the race to Talladega. Make sure to keep it locked in here to ESPN Northwest Florida as we will announce a name for the final time for this final race to Talladega. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida presents the Race to Talladega. Join Coach Hale mornings at 7:15 and 8:15 to enter. Then at 12:40 and 5:40, listen for your name to be called. If we announce your name, race to the phones. How long it takes you to call 850-215-6290 is your qualifying time. The two fastest qualifying times win a pair of tickets to the Jack Links 500 from PCB Hobby, Pepsi, Panama City Toyota, and your racing station. ESPN Northwest
Good
Florida.
evening. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your forecast on this Friday. A mixture of slight fog and clear skies tonight with very little wind, and look for the low to be 65. Tomorrow morning, there will be a variety of slight fog and sunshine with the temperature reaching 77. Mostly sunny in the afternoon and evening with a high of 78. Sunday will have a high of 78 and some clouds. This weather is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
At Brock Lawn and Pest Control, we're proud to be awarded the distinction of being Quality Pro certified.
Our technicians have passed rigorous training in eco-friendly application and prevention of pest treatments.
Part of the program is the practice of integrated pest management.
IPM's goal is to prevent pests from ever entering your home. It includes inspection, prevention, education, and, when necessary, application.
We're proud to be Quality Pro certified.
Brock Lawn and Pest Control, the standard and level of trust.
Whether you're an experienced investor or first-time buyer, Beach House will provide you with top-notch service to guide you through every step of the process. We make the real estate process fun and easy through effective marketing, strategic advertising, and always a client-focused experience. From single-family homes to full-scale developments, Beach House Sales Development has you covered. Check them out at beachhousesalesfl.com or give them a call at 850-919-3500.
Live and local inside the CBC Construction Studios. Hometown Sports Talk from hometown hosts.
People are loving it.
We're live and local. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs.
Are you kidding me?
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
I've got a chance for you to win a 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida t-shirt. Just go to your app and smash the Enter Contest button. You could win a 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida t-shirt. Go to your Google Play or your Apple Store. Type in 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida and smash the Enter Contest button. Our calling question of the day: what is your most heartbreaking loss that you've ever witnessed as a fan? Text or call in your answer to the Jed Lawyers phone line, 850-215-6290, live from the CBC Construction Studios. Now, we have turned Jimmy into Pharaoh. And we've got Monty on the line. Coach Brian Haddad, you take over here, and let's talk some WrestleMania, the Super Bowl of wrestling coming up.
We have finally reached the pinnacle of the wrestling season, the granddaddy of them all, if they will. WrestleMania 41 is upon us, and who better to have in here than our old friends? And I don't mean that by your ages. I mean our old friends. Monty and the Pharaoh, Long Island and Northwest Florida, and now what I hear, the country's #1 wrestling show. Welcome in, guys.
Is Mike there? Mike, are you there?
I am here, and I'm feeling good, guys. Thank you for that great introduction.
Mike, before we take off to the races, I heard that we're #1 in the country someplace. What? Can you fill me in? Can you help me here?
We are #1 in Zambia, and some people out there be like, Zambia?
Zambia?
Do you know that Zambia is the 63rd largest populated country in the world with 29 million people?
Ooh, that's a lot.
I'll take things I did not know for $2 million, Alex.
There you go. At 29 million.
Wait a second. So I'm trying to draw a picture here. You'll find out that we're #1 in Zambia, and you hit the web, didn't you?
Oh, I hit the web.
We're 63. We're 63. I love it.
In the world.
I love it.
Okay,
I love it. Well, I think it's outstanding.
Mazel
And
tov.
look, Facebook, Cablevision, YouTube, definitely go back, check out the back catalog. Always great guests, always great content. Monty and the Pharaoh. But, guys, we have a stacked WrestleMania card that we got into, but I do want to start with one thing, and it always gets overplayed. Everybody overanalyzes this, but we had 2 extra weeks this year than we normally have. We had a big European tour right smack in the middle of the build to WrestleMania, which was great for crowd reactions and all, but you're talking about it kind of messed with the episodic viewing habits of people on the build. So what are your overall thoughts about the build to this year's WrestleMania?
I'm very excited about this year's card. This is a very good card this year for both nights. This was packed together very well. I think this has been a great build. I think that it was it different from what we're used to seeing as far as getting European shows in during the build? Yeah. Did it work? Oh, my God, yeah.
Yep.
The crowds were insane. It did nothing but make everybody look even better. And the storylines have been great, and the go-home shows were great.
Yes.
So what more can you ask for? Mike, it's a home run, right?
The wrestling fans, we always ask for more.
Yeah, well, I don't. I actually, if they
You're right.
Keep it simple, right? Mike, what do you think?
Jimmy, I can't agree more. I think going overseas with this just only invigorated WrestleMania and extending it. These crowds got me lit. I haven't been this excited for a WrestleMania in, I don't know, 10 years at least.
It's a very packed card, and it's really awesome watching the Cena heel turn, watching people who loved him for all those years. People I'm actually coming across, in person, and they haven't watched wrestling in a long time. Yep. And they're glued to this. They're glued to this. They want to see what happens with John. There's like so many different great stories that are happening on this very loaded WrestleMania, Coach.
Well, speaking of that, we've got a lot to get into, so time for our observations.
Thank you.
Not predictions, but observations going forward.
Observations.
Well, let's start with what has now been apparently announced will start and should start night one. I think this was exactly the right call. Jey Uso taking on Gunther for the WWE Championship. Obviously, I'm willing to bet all of us believe they need to put Jey Uso over here just for him going forward, and we probably think they will, even though I also believe all three of us would really like to see Gunther retain. But what do we think is going to happen in this show opener?
I agree with you that I want Gunther to win, but I have to turn it over to Mike because, Mike, what did you say last night regarding the placement of this match on the card?
Yeah, I had no idea this was the number one match, and what I said last night, if it was number one, Jay was going to go over. If
100%.
it was placed anywhere else in the card, Gunther was going to go over. So,
bingo.
I'm a little disappointed now because, again, we are Gunther fans, and I was looking forward to that. So,
Coach, how much damage do you think this does to the great sport of professional wrestling having Gunther lose? Is that a Mark question?
Yeah, it's a Mark question. No, I mean, look, obviously, if this were,
Gunther
completely
can get over
reality, it does not hurt Gunther to go down here. In fact, they'll spin him off into a great story. The guy can carry a match with anybody. Jay kind of needs it. Now, how long this lasts with Jay, that's going to be more interesting to watch. But, I think they need to do this. This is their homage to the fans who love doing the Yee. And, look, that's important.
So can I ask you both? Can I ask you both a quick question, though? It opens up. Uso wins. How long does it take to calm that crowd down that you're going to your second match?
Well, I was going to say it depends what they put on second.
Main event Jey Uso is not main event, which is what I've been saying this entire time.
So you don't think he's worthy of a main event?
Heck no.
But yet the whole crowd is popping for him.
No,
what else?
It's a good crowd moment, but I have a feeling that'll fizzle once he gets a belt. I really do.
Yeah, y'all thought the same thing about
that's
Cody,
fair. That's
Cody
fair.
Rhodes.
No, Cody Rhodes is a different animal.
But if I go back to my memory when y'all were talking about it before he got the belt, y'all were saying that once he gets the belt, it'll fizzle out. Like he doesn't have.
Well, it didn't fizzle out.
So the same thing could be happening with Jay here.
I don't think that Cody Rhodes and Jey
more
Uso
seasoned.
are in the same vein.
All right.
Yeah, but both
Go ahead.
come
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It's about to fizzle out because John Cena's about to take that title right off of him. 1 year as champion. Congrats, Cody. See you later.
All right.
Is that really what's gonna? I mean,
we believe that, but let's get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We gotta whip.
This is
that's
why.
All right.
Okay.
That's all right.
And Coach, real quick, Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes couldn't be more different.
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes has always been a singles competitor.
That's true.
Jey Uso was in a legendary tag team guy.
True.
Gotcha.
And all of a sudden, I'm supposed to get used to half of Demolition or half of, Mike, you can name a million great tag teams and
It's
go,
like having one of the
you're a single
Hardys.
star.
It's like having one of the
Thank
Hardys.
you.
Like runs.
I got the Hardys.
Hey, listen, I listen to you guys,
Go ahead,
obviously, because of what I.
Yeah.
What you got?
I got one for you guys. That ridiculous team, the Rockers, right? How could they break those guys up? Shawn Michaels? Are you kidding me?
Right.
Please.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and Jey Uso is no Shawn Michaels, by the way.
All right, let's keep going because we got 7 matches on night one.
Hit it.
LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu for the U.S. Championship. I'm curious your thoughts on this one, guys.
Mike, take it away on this one first. I'll go after you.
We spoke about this last night. I think I want to see Jacob Fatu crush LA Knight squash match. Will it happen? Not sure. I was talking to Jimmy last night about it. There are rumors from the internet wrestling community that Jacob has not been taking care of himself very well, and he's kind of fallen out of favor with the heads in charge. But I'll go with Jacob Fatu on this.
Yeah, I'm doing the same.
See, I'm actually going to take Knight because here's why. I think Solo gets involved because I think they're dying to set up a Fatu Solo.
Oh.
That's also how I think they're going to bring Hikuleo in. And
Really?
and
We're going there right away for this?
I think
We're
we
gonna
are.
cost Fatu a title?
I think we are.
I think that hurts Fatu. Fatu's been Goldberg, like the Samoan
It depends
version.
how. It
He's
depends how.
crushing everybody.
It depends how they do the interference, but I think we're going to have that.
Interesting.
I'm going Jacob Fatu, personally.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm on my island. Got it. Jade Cargill versus Naomi. Guys, as much as I think we all wanted kind of to see Jade and Bianca eventually, I will say this. I think Naomi's done the best work of her career in the last 3 weeks. Now, whether or not it makes me want to watch this match, I don't know, but she has taken it to another level from her career in the way that she's built herself up as a heel in this case. So I don't necessarily know what's going to happen in this match, but I did want to get that out there. Your thoughts?
I agree with you. This is the only time I've ever liked Naomi.
Yeah.
Is now. But Jade needs to win this match. I feel like Jade is the one that needs to win this match. Going forward, the big plans are not going to be for Naomi. Naomi's a veteran at this point. She's been around a long time. You don't suddenly launch her into the next Becky Lynch or something. Everybody slow down, But Jade Cargill has the potential to be a big, big star in this business. And to cut her teeth first with a Naomi program is great.
Yeah.
Naomi is a great wrestler. I've never been a fan of her character, but in the ring, she's fantastic. And Jade needs work. And that's why we haven't seen Jade Bianca quickly. Yeah. Right, Mike?
Jimmy, great comments, man. Very hard to argue with any of those. And to help Jade along, this could be a great WrestleMania match for Jade. Naomi's great in the ring. And I do think that Naomi will go to greater heights. I do think a bloodline, female to the bloodline is coming.
That would work.
I agree. I'm going to take Jade here as well. I think if this match was night 2 and Bianca was night 1, I could see a case to where somehow Bianca gets involved and somehow costs Jade, but the way it's set up, I think Jade wins as well. The War Raiders versus the New Day for the Raw Tag Team Championships. I'm worried this is going to be the popcorn match of night 1 unless something happens that I have an outside feeling happens in this one, but what do we think, guys?
Whoa.
I'm saving it. I'm going last.
Huh. Very interesting. Well, as far as I'm concerned, the belts have to go on the New Day. Their heel turn was amazing, and this has got to be a payoff. Otherwise, why'd you do any of this? So the New Day have to win in my mind. The War Raiders, I've known them since the days of New Japan and when they were War Machine. And yeah, that's nice, but your gimmick is kind of silly. I've never bought into the War Raiders.
Yep,
I just don't.
I get it.
It feels too comic book for me. So put the belts on the New Day. And I think, Mike, you mentioned that if they win, they tie the Usos, right? They're back to tying them all the time.
They're back to tying them all the time. And I agree with you, Jimmy, on this. War Raiders, here, hold the belts for a while because we've squashed you for the last 4 years. So we'll give you a little interim work. And, yeah, you're right. You can't have the New Day win by disqualification or lose because then it all just doesn't make sense. Yeah, so New Day all the way.
I would agree, except for the one outside possibility. The only way the New Day can lose and not be flattened if Big E involves himself somehow for a crowd moment.
Yeah,
that's
then
the
what do you
only
do?
one.
But then what do you do with Big E if he double crosses them and costs them the match? He's not competing.
Again, there have been a lot of rumors that Big E has been cleared.
So he's going to fight
and
the two of them? I'm not that interested in that.
I don't know.
Why am I not interested?
Again, that's the only way I see the New Day being able to lose. And it would be a great crowd moment. Everybody would be behind
Of course it would be a
Big
great
E.
crowd moment. Well, what if Big E goes heel for the moment and helps them win?
That could happen as well.
Can I take that? I
you
want
can
that.
have that one. That's a good one,
I mean,
too.
what's he got to lose anyway? He's
right.
good. Go back to your desk.
That's what. Look, I am not a super.
That's what started all of this. Go back to your desk. now.
That was a great line.
It was a great line.
I am not a huge fan of overly comedic wrestling, like the Santino Marella stuff. It wasn't my thing. Whatever. However, I cannot stop laughing every time El Grande Americano goes. Gracias! I can't
It's pretty
stop.
funny. It's
I can't
ridiculous.
I'm actually looking forward to this match, and I don't think the payoff is this match. I think this carries forward to at least Backlash. I think El Grande Americano gets the win here.
Mike, do you hear
and
this?
sets up some level of a mask versus mask match for Backlash. I'm
see that.
telling you, I
can
think.
see that.
And if they could pull this off somehow to where El Grande Americano gets his mask taken off, and it's not Gable, would be hysterical.
Well, who is it?
It would be great. I don't know how you do it. But I think El Grande goes over here and they set up the return at Backlash and they pay it off.
What's he got, a twin brother like Kurt Angle or something like that?
It would be great.
Wow, interesting. Well, in all my...
It's Dave Hebner. That's who it is.
Yeah, there you go. Believe it or not, Mike convinced me that I should root for El Grande Americano to win this match. Mike, this is bizarre. What's going on here with El Grande Americano?
I'm telling you, El Grande Americano is over, man.
It's
over.
From the Gulf of America.
From the Gulf of America. Has he been...
It is so stupid. It's hysterical.
Well, that's his best quality, hasn't it? Always been that with
It really
Chad
is.
Gable?
And he's so good in the ring.
Well, that's the shame.
We're overlooking him versus Rey Mysterio is going to be a heck of a
Right.
match.
Like I asked Mike, though, I'll ask you. I asked Mike this on his show. Hayes, do you think that Rey Mysterio is going to put over a mid-Carter for the last 10 years, probably, in Chad Gable? Because he's wearing a mask and calling himself El Grande. You
I
grew
don't
up
think he
watching
should.
this.
I don't think he should. For me, as Rey Mysterio, he's a name,
right?
And this guy's coming in, and it's almost reminding me of when Hulk Hogan came back,
right,
with Mr. America or Captain America or whatever it was.
C. I told you.
But we need a heel to win because this
Right.
is a night of faces, I think. So
I'm
we'll
going
see.
Rey Mysterio till I die, so
All right.
it doesn't matter who's taking on Rey. I don't care if
There you
it's
go.
Dominic.
Okay.
I don't care if Eddie comes back. Give me Rey Mysterio.
Now that would be a story.
We'll get to Dominic, trust me.
All
Go
right,
on.
guys, you want to talk about something that has gone into the stratosphere
Last
in
match
terms
right
of
here.
interest?
Last match right here.
Yeah, because we'll save the triple
Yeah.
for the next one. But Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. Look, everybody's like, what if it breaks down? They're professionals, but I have a feeling this.
What do you mean breaks
They
down?
don't like
They
each
don't
other
like
for
each
real.
other.
It's
But-
bad.
But let me
It's
tell
bad.
you,
New
this
Barbie
good.
doll in the aisle 8. Not wanted
This-
by old Barbie doll.
This match,
That new Barbie doll is something
look,
else,
it's going to
too.
be hard to upstage the triple threat. This
There's that,
match
too.
could steal the show.
Yeah.
This,
of course it
at
could.
least night one.
Of
So
course.
I'm very interested in this, although I honestly believe Tiffy has to go over here. Go ahead.
I don't, and
Okay.
and Mike will run it by you too. But Mike, what I wanted to ask you, Mike, is that how do you feel the quality of the match is going to be? I believe that Charlotte Flair was not brought back for any reason, and Charlotte Flair is going to hold that title. Charlotte Flair is going to win. But Mike, what do you think about the quality of the match, and then your opinion on the result?
I think these two have done their best to try to change people's minds and kind of move themselves into the main event. They started off slow, and Jimmy and we had discussed, could this match be moved into a main event status? It has definitely moved into one of the premier matches, and I'm going to go with you and Coach. I think this might steal the night, and Charlotte and Tiffany will put on a great match. But I will say this, Coach, there is no way, and I will retire. I'm announcing it right now. I will
Don't start
retire.
doing that. I need the extra scratch from the show. You're not retiring.
I feel like every 30 days you're finding a way to try to retire him.
All right, go ahead.
He retired when the bloodline
Charlotte,
stopped with Roman.
I think the way they need to go with this, guys, is Charlotte Flair needs to destroy her.
Yeah.
We were talking
Yeah.
about it last night. Jimmy,
Yeah.
take it over. What
Yep.
you were thinking last night.
Oh, that she basically beats her up for like 22 minutes the way Brock Lesnar beat up Cena.
Oh.
And really, because Tiffy herself has been said, Tiffy, listen to me, what a mark. Tiffy has been saying herself that, she's new. And she knows she's new. When Charlotte by the way, Charlotte's been able to cut her to pieces, pretty much show the awkwardness of a young
Certainly did the
up-and-coming,
first time.
But Tiffy's made a good comeback here. I go with Tiffy again. My God, next thing you know, I'll be
I don't
wearing a
blame you,
shirt.
bro. I've seen I've seen her
That's
walk through
pathetic.
that ring a couple of times.
But look, Charlotte was not brought back just to do a job for Tiffy. No way.
Okay.
It
elevates her.
It
does elevate Tiffany Stratton.
You know what? Also,
it's going to elevate her, but what about the chase of, the veteran? We've seen it in the...
I get it.
We've seen it in movies. The veteran beats that up-and-comer, and then the up-and-comer eventually...
It would truly
it
take
evens out.
Charlotte to
Go to Creed.
the nuclear heel level. It would. And that would be cool.
Hey, speaking of elevation, those banks over there at Talladega are highly elevated, and we are getting set for the race to Talladega. If we announce your name when we get back, give us a call on the Jed Lawyers phone line, 850-215-6290. Final segment coming up next, leading off with the race to Talladega.
Weather in the Panhandle never stops. Turn to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast.
Up to the minute weather reports all day long.
A chance of thunderstorms and moderate rain.
In-depth storm coverage.
Winter Storm Enzo.
And breaking weather as it happens.
Hurricane Helene.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
We do have a tropical storm warning.
Rely on it.
Discover Kia at Bill Bird Kia. The road is yours. Let spring adventures begin in a brand new Kia from Bill Bird Kia. Stop by today and check out the 2025 SUV family. Take a test drive and see the all-new features that elevate any adventure. And now offering 1.9% APR for up to 60 months on the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sportage. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology. Bill Bird Kia is the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillBirdKia.PanamaCity.com. We'll treat you like family and give you the peace of mind you can trust at Bill Bird Kia.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sportage. $1,748 per month per 1,000 financed in 60 months. Quantities limited. Cannot be combined with other finance offers. Not available on balloon financing. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 4/30/25.
You found us inside the CBC Construction Studios. Doing what other stations can't. The Afternoon Underdogs is live and local. 850-215-6290.
When you've completed dialing, listen for the ringing signal.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
We are back. This is the race to Talladega, and our final contestant for the race to Talladega is going to be Drew Gerhardt. Drew Gerhardt, you are now on the clock. I don't even got to tell you guys anything else about the race to Talladega anymore because this is it.
That's right.
This is the final one. Do want to remind you guys, though, that this is Braves country right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. And tonight for the Braves, they're taking on the Twins in Truist Park. It's actually going to be on Apple TV Plus, which means listen to this game right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Bryce Elder going for the Braves, going up against Chris Paddock for the Minnesota Twins. While we wait the call, I don't want to take any more time from you guys. Coach Brian Haddad, Monty and Farrow on the line with us.
Well, guys, we got to finish night one, and boy, what a match to do it. The main event of night one, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, CM Punk with Paul Heyman in his corner. We'll throw a match that really could go any which way. Guys, what do we think's happening here?
I'm going to try not to overanalyze it or dream even bigger than what I'm seeing. I feel like for some inexplicable reason, Paul Heyman is going to leave with Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins is going to win this match. Other than the one little hint that it's possible is the fact that Seth Rollins said, now you owe me a favor because I didn't curb stomp you.
Yeah.
It would also be a complete shock because everybody knows in the past that Roman has and Punk has been represented by Paul. So if Paul leaves with Seth, it's a great shock factor thing. You know, could feuds continue from it? Sure they could. Mike, I liked Mike's idea, though.
Okay.
Because Mike has something that I usually come up with that is just insanely over-the-top huge.
Let's go.
Mike, what do you say?
I'm calling for total anarchy. I'm calling for Drew McIntyre to come out along with someone, I don't know. Kevin Owens, I don't know if he's legitimately hurt. Yeah. But let's just say brings out a third. They get with Rollins, and they just start attacking Punk and Roman Reigns, and then here comes Brock Lesnar out of the back. And here we go. We've got the Dangerous Alliance, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, and off the races we go. And I'm going to stick with that, Jimmy. I'm just going to stick with it. I'm going to dream big on this one.
What I like about it, though, is that even though it is dreaming big, it is planted in firm history.
Oh, yeah.
Paul Heyman has had 3 great names that he's represented in this business, and those are the 3.
Brock Lesnar.
CM
Yeah,
Punk.
if you really wanted to go
Reigns.
deep dive, somehow Cesaro comes back. But we'll
would
say
you
that.
stop with Cesaro? It's like you brought Shep into the building when Curly is still spinning in circles. What is wrong with you? You don't do that. Oh, this is
All
horrible.
right, so I don't know about Lesnar. That would be so cool. But I think whether intentionally or not, somehow Paul Heyman costs Punk. And I do think we're going into a Punk and Roman program from here. That's what I think.
So he returns as the wise man and goes back to Roman, even though Roman just beat the living tar out of him.
Inadvertently. I don't know how it happens.
Interesting.
But I do think we're going into a Punk Roman. So I'm going to take Seth to win.
Well, if Seth wins, he's leaving with Paul.
Maybe not. Yeah.
Can I ask you guys one? Is there a possibility that, because John Moxley's contract is up, it's done.
Oh,
is there a possibility Dean Ambrose shows up in the Shield reunites and they just beat up Punk?
I had a quick thought that
the very guy who
Rollins
invented,
and Punk might get going, but if Mox, oh my God, you want to talk about
if
size
they beat up Punk, that would be a great storyline because Punk invented the Shield.
That's right.
Punk invented
That
the
would
Shield.
be good.
Oh my God, I love that, Mike.
Oh my God.
Let's have it.
So, guys, night 2, we're going to skip over a few of the lesser matches. Just
the bathroom
for
break,
time.
like Liv Morgan tag team match. Bathroom break.
Exactly. That
That's
one makes no sense.
Is that a match?
Yeah, she's tag team champion. Bathroom break next,
All right,
Coach.
real quick.
I
real
see what
quick.
you're saying. I thought they were going to be.
I don't want to spend a ton of time on this
Flush.
one, but Intercontinental Championship, Braun Breaker, Finn Balor, Penta, and Dominic Mysterio. I think I think this is another one where we would love Braun to go through because we're big Braun Breaker fans.
Yep.
But there's a lot of stories that could be told in this one. Let me throw one out at you. Mm-hmm. I think the crowd is murmuring for a Dominic win. I really do. I think they're starting to become. I think he could be the Chelsea Green.
Did you watch our show last night? I'm starting to feel like you watched our show last night.
The chicken bleep heel who everybody loves and hates.
Yeah,
I can't say the other
messy.
word.
Yeah, of course.
But
it's messy.
I don't think that happens. I think they're setting it up. It looks like Dom's going to get it. The crowd reaches to a fervor. Finn costs him and takes the title and sets up a Finn Dominic program for Backlash. What do you guys think?
Well, we're on board with the Dominic stuff. I, for some reason, see... Look, Dominic is very young and has a long career to go. Okay? At some point, if Dominic is going to attain the heights of not his father, he's not patterning himself after his father. He's patterning it after Eddie Guerrero.
He is.
Okay, his uncle.
Yeah.
At some point in his career, he is going to have to do what Eddie did so great. Play both roles great.
Yeah.
Be a great heel, which Dominic clearly already is.
I think he's starting
and be
to
a great
do it.
face. Now, here's how you make that go into overdrive where it's instantly accepted. At least this is my feeling. Somewhere at some point during the match, you've got the faces that are in the match, the good guys, quote unquote, for this particular matchup. You have Braun Breaker and Penta are not available. They're knocked out or they're brawling outside or whatever. And Dominic has a moment where Balor is down and pinnable. Dominic stops, looks at the crowd. The crowd is going to be saying to him,
Yes.
Get him!
Yes.
Do it!
Yes.
Do it! And he'll look at them a few times and he'll go, should I? And the crowd will be... The guy's had the most nuclear heat we've seen in years.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the crowd will be begging him, go up there, hit Finn Balor, your teammate, who we hate even more in some ways when you think about
Are
it.
they still teammates?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if he gets to that top rope and does what the fans want him to do at that moment and hits the Eddie Guerrero frog splash and wins the title,
five-star frog
guess
splash.
who's a
Let's
face
go.
now?
Oh, yeah, it'd be big.
Although to me, he's a face. That's it. You've accomplished it. Let's see what you could do with it. Just keep Liv by your side,
I have
by
a
the way.
feeling they're paying it off later, but I love that. Go ahead, Mike.
Hit it.
Jimmy, you convinced me just now, and you convinced me last night. I really do think that's going to be the finish.
It
the
should
only
be.
worry I have is how does a face like Dominic, who gets beat every night,
Liv will help him.
survive as Intercontinental Champion? And if he does turn a face, does Liv turn on him and go with Finn?
No, you know what? That's interesting, but I wouldn't do that because Dominic still needs to have some support as he ascends. So I would keep Liv with him, and they are very lovable together. Let's face facts.
All right, guys, women's triple threat. A lot of multi-person matches in this, which sometimes scares me. But, boy, another one could be a monster of a match. I got worried for a second. They were trying to set Io Sky up as the Daniel Bryan in this scenario, as kind of the little engine that could against the monsters. Yeah. But we've got Io Sky, we got Rhea Ripley, we got Bianca Belair. I think they're going to put Bianca over here, but the only person I can't see winning this match, if you can believe it, is Rhea Ripley.
That's interesting. I'm thinking Bianca too, and I'm pretty sure, Mike, we discussed this last night. You're leaning that way as well.
I am leaning that way. Absolutely.
Yeah, it makes the most sense to me. I mean, Rhea's not going to lose nothing from not winning this match. Not nothing. And Io, to me, it's already a rub that you're in this match.
I think they've told a nice little sub story in this bit that Io has never lost to Rhea. I think that's a really neat story they can pay off for years.
Yeah, they could.
And look, Rhea and Bianca could go into a program without the title. They don't need it, but I think that's what we want to see. But I'm still not convinced Bianca doesn't somehow turn heel in all this, but I do think she's going to go over.
I feel like Bianca is destined to become a heel, but she's also destined to be a champion again. So
I think that's the end goal, guys. You know, Jade, Bianca are going to cross paths.
That's right.
And Bianca will be the heel, so yeah, you've got to give her the title, and somewhere along the line, her and Naomi are going to make up, and it's the writing's on the wall. So the smart move is Bianca.
Just don't ever have her cry again, because it's soap opera bad. Go on.
I love
horrible.
It. All right, we've left ourselves some time for the main event of the show, and look, we can see it. Cody Rhodes versus John Cena for the undisputed WWE Championship. Cena going for historic number 17, but we've got subplots everywhere. Is Stone Cold going to show up? Who is the third man? Will Cody get his receipt on Travis Scott? There's all kind of storylines here. Guys, how does this play out?
John Cena walks out as 17-time world champion. Because Randy doesn't have a match, and if they don't put him in the ring with Magnus, which I would actually be happy with that if that was a surprise thing.
Nick Aldis for new fans.
Nick Aldis for new fans. If they did that, fine. But to me, I feel like Randy Orton is going to RKO Cody Rhodes and help John win. And then you owe me a favor, John. What is the greatest rivalry of John Cena's time? His feud with Randy.
Long term, certainly Randy.
That is his.
Yeah.
Foil, and always has been. So I would find it very poetically, historically cool if Randy does help him win the title, basically look at him, roll out of the ring. You know, you've got Cody back to being the chaser, because that is the beauty of what made the payoff for Cody fans so great when he finally did beat Roman Reigns. He chased him. He lost the first time. Yeah. Took a full year to chase him. And now you got John, and John's not being brought back to not pass Ric Flair.
Correct.
So, to me, logically, it goes that way. Mike, what do you got on the great John Cena?
I got to go with that. I just don't know how they're going to get off of, hey, I'm taking the belt and going home. I will put a different swerve in it. I believe John Cena Sr. will be in the front row. Oh. And he will take his wig off, throw it in the ring, and Cody will trip on it.
Wow. Nice.
Look. Nice. I want to say the craziest scenario that could be the third man is Mama Rhodes. Oh, it would be great.
Mama Rhodes is very...
Oh, my God, it would be great if she turned on him. But no, here's what I think. I think Jimmy actually kind of pushed me over the edge here with this. I think somehow The Rock does try and get involved. I think that is where Stone Cold will make an appearance, neutralizes The Rock. But out of nowhere,
here comes Randy. Yeah.
RKO's Cody, looks at John, and gives John the win. And then the payback, you talked about how does John not walk up in the sunset? Yeah. You owe me Backlash, where I'm on the poster in my hometown.
Bingo.
There we go.
That's why
John
I smell
Cena
Randy. That's why I smell
agree.
Randy coming. And it would make the most sense in this moment. For sure.
I agree.
It's the only time I've ever rooted for Cena, too. I absolutely love how he's played the villain. He has hit a home run.
Oh,
period.
100%.
Period. The build-up is great. We started by asking about the build-up. The build-up's been amazing.
But what's been great, and we haven't been able to talk about this since the Cena heel turn, The thing that is always great about a heel turn is when they lean in on truth. Everything he said about the fans has been true for 20 years.
Of course it has.
They screamed, "You can't wrestle. John Cena sucks." All of the stuff. It was beautifully, beautifully done. And I got to say, Cody Rhodes has stood his own against him when I thought he would crumble. He's fired back, too. This has been a wonderful setup to a match.
In 5 seconds or less for each, in 5 seconds or less for each of you, bold prediction from WrestleMania. Well,
I guess mine's Big E.
All right.
Randy helps John break Flair's record.
And what about you?
Brock Lesnar.
Mike wins.
There you go. And if it happens, what will Paul Heyman do if he's got to represent two people?
It would be three.
Three, yes. CM Punk, it would be Roman, it would be,
Honestly, that would be incredible.
Yeah.
Jimmy, it would be like the picture where they took the mask off El Grande Americano, and it turns out it's Vince McMahon.
We're going to the memery of social media.
Check out Monty and the Pharaoh.
Yes, please do that. Make sure that you check those guys out. They are awesome and love when we are able to have them on our show. I don't have any other time other than to say Jesus loves you, so do I. I mean, it's Easter Sunday, y'all. Join me at First Baptist Church this Sunday at 10:30 if you'd like to. See y'all tomorrow.
ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the Coach James Hale Show.
I was a bench warmer. No, but you can,
he was left out.
Yeah, you can.
Oh, hell yeah, I was
Yes.
No, actually, it happens. You are crazy, but
Weekday morning 7 to 9.